Formula 1 returns home to where it all began back in 1950 for the British Grand Prix here at Silverstone for what is expected to be a very wet and gloomy weekend with overcast or rain predicted for every session. However, the Silverstone looks to be one of the most difficult races on the calendar for all of the teams, with a high mix of high-speed corners, long straights and also the low-speed corners, so favouring the cars which have a better balance than overall top-end speed. However, once practice got on the way, it's still expected to be the usual the front contenders of Alfa Romeo and Toyota in front. However, Aston Martin could be a surprise package. Throughout all the practice sessions, at least when the temperatures were up, both cars were inside the top 12 and looked competitive to score points if you can stay dry in the race. Alfa Romeo had their target set higher than points, with both Kevin Magnussen and Josh Tyrrell right on the pace from the get-go close to the Toyotas. Especially that maybe with a bit of strategy they could even take the win, at least a podium from this race. Renault though looked to be a little bit on the back foot. Been having a bit of a slow decline in recent races with upgrades yet to come to the car, but they're still confident with the pace that the car has they can take a podium or better in the race as well. As ever though, it was Toyota showing everyone how it's done, with Hamilton and Matsushita first and second in all three of the practice sessions, however by not as far as a margin as they've enjoyed in previous races over both of the Alfa Romeos, with the Renaults not too far behind. Hey guys, Renault here. Welcome back to Formula 1 for the British Grand Prix, and what do you know, got the typical British weather, it's raining. It's also quite windy as well there, as you can see from that flag. And there we can get a first look at the starting grid. You see it's actually that we've got an Alfa Romeo there on the pole position. We've got Hulkenberg there in P6 in the runners, so you can be looking for Hulkenberg seems to be a pretty good driver in the wet, so you can be looking to use that pace to his advantage. Although we've got Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri on the front row of the grid. I'm not quite sure how that's happened. I don't really know what they've done at AlphaTauri to get that car up into second place on the grid, but they've clearly done something, and whatever they've done, it's clearly worked. And qualifying was also in the dry as well, so I don't know, they've done an absolute madness there to get it on second place. But now then, coming onto the formation lap, we can make sure now that everyone actually gets away. Looks like everyone is getting a pretty good launch there away from the grid. Looks like I don't get any stallers there or anything. And then coming through, you've got an Alfa Romeo there of ourselves on pole position, just ahead of the two AlphaTauris of Pierre Gasly and Sergio Sette lining up in 2-3. I don't know if they went for an outright qualifying setup, because if they have, then in the wet, they're really going to be struggling now. And you got the Toyota, of course, pushed a bit further down the order from what they used to behind the teammates there, Kevin Magnussen. So they've got a bit of work on their hands too as well, especially with the hopefully the AlphaTauris can hold up a few cars for us. I mean, that's ideally what we need. And you've got the Rebels, of course, they're a lot further back than where they have been accustomed to be over the past few years. And if the wet conditions, this is the perfect opportunity for Verstappen at least, and of course the Red Bull car in general, because you just do a bit better in the wet than in the dry. And one of the other home favourites, Lando Norris, way down the order, along with his teammate Harrington. McLaren not faring too well at the home race, but still, a race in the wet is usually a field and pace nullifier. I'll back onto us now, starting from P4, so it's actually a teammate Kevin Magnussen there that got the pole. He's gone through, well, we've definitely got to clear than these AlphaTauris pretty quickly. And lining up then on the inside of the grid, but of course, in the wet, the inside is actually where you want to be, because offline is actually where more grip ends up being. Of course, then we've got Hamilton right behind us, and in that trace, so we've got to make a good start, keep ahead of our fellow Britain in this race, but now coming to the fire lights at the start of a very wet British Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go. It's going to be an even start for the front row. Looks like it is. Go on, the McLaren's making a move further back. Hamilton, that's how he's going to try and make a charge around the outside line of a few of the cars as well. Going to actually be kind of a bit of debris flying. Couldn't quite see whose front wing that came off though. So it's our teammate Kevin Magnussen that leads away from both of the AlphaTauri still. We've been followed there, Lewis. Once again, not getting the ideal start that we need. And we push down there behind both the Renaults, it looks like as well. Maybe in one of the Rebels there as well. They're coming now, snaking their way through this middle sector. We've got Vern going side by side with one of the Rebel cars. Still keeping his outside, Vern trying to hold it around the outside line of Max Verstappen. And we'll make it through. Just like it's a pretty simple move there through. They've got one of the Williams looking very feisty behind us as well. We actually nowhere else to start. We're not getting these tyres up to temperature. We're trying to hold it around the outside line. Actually go for a diving move around the outside line on the Williams, because the Williams, it's a worse car than the Alfa Romeo. But as I said, in the wet conditions, it's all more about the driver than the car itself. Although the Toyotas having their straight line speed is obviously still going to help everyone. It also all depends on those two AlphaTauri cars. What setup are they going to do? Did they go for a qualifying glory setup, or did they go more for a wet setup in mind, like everyone else probably predicting this rain as well? So they're going to be running more or less a wet setup in qualifying. So maybe what they've done, maybe they still just cuff a little bit of downforce. And they say it's Albon now in front of us in the Red Bull, so we've really not had a good time. We've been passed by both of the Red Bull cars off at the start. You see how the cars are just getting absolutely no traction whatsoever. As this Alfa Romeo car takes a few laps to get the tyres up to temperature anyway. Now we've got we've got Schumacher looking very, very aggressive now behind us. We're trying once again down to hold running the outside line, going late on the brakes, just over time. We've got more downforce on the car. Schumacher backed out there really early. He must have known that we're going to try and cut off. He's after all, he is the defending world champion, so he knows a thing or two about racecraft now. Even though he's only been here for a few years. And around the final corner, it's still Kevin Magnussen that leads the end of lap 1. Again, looking good so far. Get the AlphaTauris actually keeping with him, to be fair. So whatever Gasly and Safety Camera have done, whatever they've done at AlphaTauri on the stand-up, it actually looks like they went for a race there. So maybe the AlphaTauris got for this race, for one race only, the AlphaTauris could be a front contending, possibly even a race-winning car. I mean, the AlphaTauri, the team that are last in the constructors standings with about 25 or so points, after 9 races coming into this one, now running in a double podium position. I don't really know what they've done at that team. Maybe they've brought some mega upgrades, maybe their car just works around the circuit. I mean, that just happens sometimes, even no matter what car you're in. Sometimes there's a track that just gels with your car, and with both of them to be up here as well, and that might just be what it is. And now the cars that are last in the constructors are holding up the cars that are first, both the Toyotas. And you've got Albon there in the Red Bull now, with ourselves looking right a bit as our tyres finally coming into that working range. They're covering out a bit wider, so one of the Toyotas getting very impatient there behind the AlphaTauri, and you can't really blame them. The AlphaTauri, you think, is a much slower car, but not today. Especially in the wet conditions as well, there's not going to be any DRS. It could be about the hour pace that the car has. Well, moving the film, looking at the Renault there of Nico Hülkenberg up behind the AlphaTauris. It looks like one of them slightly to drop a little bit down the order now. Because as the pace comes on, you would expect that the other cars would eventually manage to find their way through. And look at Hülkenberg there behind the back of the AlphaTauri, which is still keeping itself up in the podium places. Don't find out which one it is. I'm guessing it's probably Pierre Gasly, since he was the one that was in front at the start anyway. You've got a pretty useless camera angle here from this Renault. Can't really see a whole lot of the track up in front, and they're trying to gain on the back of the AlphaTauri, which is the one that's been slipping down the order, which is I'm guessing Sergio Sede camera. And now then with the solution, because there was no DRS in the wet, they could now then into Sector 2. Not going to have to make a move on the Brazilian. Now moving the other way on to lap 5, we're still in P9, still got Albon in front of us. And he's still got Shinny as the car behind, so not really a whole lot of change. We're running out a little bit wider, but still, we've gone green to go for Sector 1, so finally getting a bit of pace, getting a bit of confidence in on the car. Finally actually being able to put the power down and use the pace that this car has. I mean, K-Mag's leading the race, so if you ever need to prove that the car has pace, I think this is it. And we go, okay, run that down the straight. Once again, the Albon in that with the spray, we're on intermediates, and you can't even see the car in front, so I have to duck out of the way a little bit to know where the cars are, because you can't even see the rain lights on the back of them. Albon is looking very interested though in the back of the car in front of him, which I have genuinely no idea what car that is because I can't see it. Either way, whatever car it is goes defensive into the corner. I think it might be the AlphaTauri, you know. We slows down Albon on the corner, trying to stick it right outside the line of Albon. We do make the stick, make it stay right outside the line of the British tyre driver. We do just squeeze him out there into the final corner. So, Seti Camera there has not done his fellow in-house teammate a favour there of Alex Albon squeezing him out. I mean, Seti Camera, I mean, you got a good result at the start of the season, but that's pretty much as good as it got for AlphaTauri. And he wants to try and replicate that, especially with his teammate Gasly up the order as well. Both of these possibly fighting for a future Red Bull seat. They try and go around the outside line, going to squeeze Seti Camera to the air, but it's going to square it around the outside line, keeping side by side. With the Brazilian, we squares it back up to the inside line. He's just making policy on the apex there. Seti Camera with some very aggressive defending. Now we've seen now Gundar's finally getting a little bit of confidence in the car. We know where he's placing now. We're only just down on our best sector as well. And Albon there, now we've got the tyres up to 10, we know we're definitely faster here than the AlphaTauri. I mean, he may have qualified us, but it looks like he went for a little bit less downforce on the setup. Maybe that's what Gasly did as well. Still, we can squeeze out to the curbing, onto the gravel as well. We lose a load of momentum there, and we get back on the track now. Can he keep it ahead of Alex Albon? And you think we've got a little bit of throwing damage. Get Albon trying to sneak around the outside line, which he does. Albon manages to step back around the outside line, so say the camera. He lets us overtake Albon, but then he ends up probably unintentionally as well, repaying them there, but TDK Knight getting so aggressive in his defending, especially in the wet as well. That could have ended in disaster for either of us. So I mean, it shows how much pressure that TDK Knight is under to try and keep that position, because Albon is a lot faster, and we're a lot faster as well. And Albon there, they're going to have a run now. Can you try and make a move on the Brazilian? Both with Honda engines, both the same spec Honda engines as well. Now Albon can try and go around the outside line. Probably turn his engine up, try and make a move on his in-house teammate. Going to go the long way around the outside line, but a car like the Rebel should be able to stick it there around the outside line of the AlphaTauri. He makes his stick. TDK Knight doesn't really put up a fight. I mean, he's probably been told to let Albon go after the move he pulled off the previous lap, which ended up letting us get past him. And we've seen how aggressive TDK Knight is willing to be in this race. Now then it's his turn to try and hold us up, to try and let Albon pull away a little bit. Because Albon being the lead Red Bull, or of the Red Bull team in this race, but of the Red Bull family, is still gassing up the road, so they're going to want to send Albon to get past him, because they're not going to want to be beaten by the driver. They let go to promote Albon. We're going to sweep it around the outside line though, TDK Knight catch him napping into turn 2. We've got so much more downforce down the AlphaTauri. They really are running so light on the downforce. I mean, fair play to them. If they can hold on through the corners, be a little bit faster down the straights, of course being in the wet as well, there's not going to be any DRS. So if the drivers can hold on, and it's actually the strategy that's actually going to work out. I mean, they're not going to lose anything by dropping other points anyway from where they normally probably would have been. Because I think I'm going to see with that good straight line speed, going to force him over to the side line, going to repay the favour to him, and he has to back out. There's no way with the little amount of downforce that he's running on that car, he was ever going to get it stopped before the corner. Now onto lap 7, we're up into P8. We go green through the fast sector, of course, not saying any purple sectors. I mean, we're going faster than what we were before. I'm still not going at the pace that K-Mag has going for it. You see on the mini map, K-Mag is still leading this race. He's leading a train of cars around. He's still leading the race, but I mean, what's the point of having a massive lead? You don't need a massive lead. You need the gap that keeps you in the lead of the race. So if he wants to dictate the pace, because if no one can get past him, then that's up to them. If you're going to fly here through Marcus and Beckett, especially in the rain, this actually feels like a really good side to me. Fly through it in the dry anyway. If you get right in the way, although you've got yellow flags there for the ground, so you know, possibly been an incident. So there's still 20 cars in the race. I don't really know what that was for. They were down through our sector 2 time. Lando Norris is now out of the Grand Prix. The home favourite safety car deployed. Safety car's out now. Lando Norris, one of the home favourites in the McLaren as well. I mean, they were down the order anyway. Maybe they were trying to get an engine to the end of this race that they could possibly try and need. Looking at what happened to Lando Norris, I mean, I think he's at the back anyway. So he's definitely having some sort of car issues. He's running on his own. I mean, no one would have pitied it unless, of course, they had damage at the start of the race, which I don't think anyone really did. Although we did see a front wing flying, so maybe that was Lando Norris' front wing. And they're coming through. I don't actually know what's happening. He's not spun off anywhere. Although he does like to be going a bit slow. I think I see an engine failure there. If we look through the mist in the back, see a little bit of smoke coming out. And there's a few other cars here down the back door. So maybe there's a few cars that possibly look big. There's no way Verstappen should be that far down the order on legitimate pace. Anyway, as that happened now, onto the end of the stage car, of course no one pitted because it's on intermediate, so you don't need to pit yet. And of course, being on intermediates, if you've got the tyre wear, you don't actually have to pit in a wet race. So if this race is wet or the end, or you don't change your tyres at least, then you don't actually have to stop in this race. But onto the end of the safety car period, of course there's no taking to the start finish line, so we get as close as we want to the back of Albon, we can't actually make a move on him yet. Although we need to focus on getting a good run here at the final corner, because as soon as he crosses that line, it's fair game. We can try and make a move anywhere there, but Albon there gets a good run, being in that Red Bull car. And we're only 44 seconds down on our best lap. But yeah, you do go pretty slow on the safety car, which of course allows us to save a lot of fuel as well, and save a lot of ERS, because in the wet, the ERS you manage to, so for some reason actually manage to save a lot more than you do in the dry. Probably because you're going a lot slower as well, so it probably doesn't use as much. But still though, it's our teammate Kevin Magnussen that leads the way from one of the AlphaTauris, still doing a madness, keeping it up there in second place. And it is the AlphaTauri there, Pierre Gasly. I mean, he got dropped by Red Bull, proving Red Bull wrong in this race. Why they changed it? I mean, in a car which is really not set up for these conditions, in the car which is the worst on the grid, is keeping it up in second place ahead of the fastest cars and the championship leaders, the Toyotas and Lewis Hamilton. But K-Mag though really is starting to pull away now out of the corner, so maybe now the AlphaTauri, because we're running less downforce. I mean, the intermediates could do the whole race, but if you've got less downforce, they are going to wear out a little bit quicker. I mean, Gasly, they probably had to use up a lot of ERS to try and hold himself up in the second place. I mean, of course, the team and Gasly himself want to hold on for a podium position. If they can get inside the top 5 or top 6, that's still going to be an absolutely brilliant result there for the AlphaTauri team. And with the Aston Martins not showing the pace the other way in practice, this could be an opportunity for AlphaTauri to still lift themselves off the bottom of the grid. Of course, no DRS still, because it's still very wet. Although you can see a line starting to appear, so maybe the rain is starting to ease up a little bit. We've got the Toyota looking very interested up in behind the back of Gasly. Still, Hamilton, though, the championship lead is not going to possibly taking himself out of the race to try and get a second place. Third place ahead of us. He's in ahead of us. He's ahead of all of his championship rivals. His teammate Masashita up behind him there as well, and Hulk further down the order as well. So they don't need to fight each other yet. But now moving further on, we've got our teammate Kevin Magnussen leading the way now from the Toyota. So not seen by us, but the AlphaTauri of Gasly has slipped down now into P3. And then it's our teammate Kevin Magnussen who did a really good job to get it on pause. So maybe he's running a little bit lower on downforce as well, although in the Alfa Romeo I wouldn't really have thought it. Going down the straight now, he's still holding it ahead there of the Toyota, but goes for a massive dive on the side line. They're going to give you side by side a little bit of contact there between the two. Hamilton going to go for a dive on the side line. You can possibly see a win there on home. I mean, he won here by over a minute in 2008. I think he lapped all but the top 3. So yeah, Hamilton knows his way around here in the wet conditions, and now he's got ahead of our team. It gives me fair play to K-Mag. He put up a really good fight. I mean, he's led for about half the race. With that Toyota, it's just such a faster car on paper as well than anything else really in this 2020 grid, but especially even the other front-running cars like the Alfa Romeo and the Renault, that Toyota's still got such an edge. Well, on to lap 13, so now at the halfway point of the Grand Prix, we're all over the back now of Alex Albon. So his tyres place is starting to go off a little bit now. We really are chasing down the back of the tyre brake driver, and now we've got Shuni behind us, so once again he's managed to make a move on safety camera at some point as well. I mean, we're in the switching in the back of the Red Bull, but still we're not close to on the exit. Maxi Beckers, that Red Bull just gets such a good run on us. And the one place we can try and make an overtake, we really are closer. We're just gaining so much though under braking. We are just finding a lot of time here. Now there's a few cars actually coming out into the pit lane, so there's a few cars actually coming in now for the thing that they can't get to the end of the race here on the set of tyres, so they're going to be coming in now. Obviously for another set is too early, it's way too early for tyres obviously. And I doubt they're going to be coming in for full wet, although it is very wet in the pit lane, of course, because no one actually drives through there. Now they're coming in for another set of the intermediate tyres. So I think that's actually Matsushita there, so they're going to pin him first and see how his pace is. And we've got all the other cars towards the back mechanism. So these cars are going to be at the dead back of the grid, but they're going to have a one lap fresh tyres. And let's see, how does the undercut even work from one set of Inters to another? Can you have more grip? But with there being less water now on the track, in effect, he could actually end up being slower. Well, because of the rejoin on the track in a load of clean air, now then, can they actually use it now onto the end of that lap? We've got the other Toyotas and the other race leaders now coming into the pits for their one stop unless it dries up. So if we get to the halfway stage, you can either do that same amount of laps on another set of the intermediate tyres. There's another set of Inters there for Lewis Hamilton, and then looking more now with our teammate K-Mag once again another set of intermediates, and then for the AlphaTauri behind another set of Inters for Gasly there as well, because I'm just in front there of one of the Renaults. So I think Gasly there maintains position, so a good pit stop there from the AlphaTauri crew under a lot of pressure. So Gasly still on the podium as it stands, depending on how much undercut, if an undercut, from everyone else who pitted the lap before. As they now make their way now back out to the track. There's a few cars coming through turns 1 and 2. I think they're also a little bit further behind though. Then you've got Vernon in the Renault now as the car behind the AlphaTauri. So actually, the two Renaults there running line of stern. So the Renaults slowly starting to make their way. Yeah, they're definitely just finally starting to come back through the order. But now looking onto us, lap 15, we're now leading the Grand Prix because I've not actually stopped yet. And the team have decided they're going to do they're going to try and use the rules to their fullest. We don't have to stop in a race that needs intermediate tyres for wet tyres. And now they've given me a massive lead because this pit lane is the longest on the calendar in terms of lap time, because it's just so slow through the pits. And we're still going green, we're still saying fastest sector time, so these tyres are still good to go. And the team are going to try and lead me out, possibly even until the end of the race, at least let me bang in a couple of laps anyway. Now looking at the other sole remaining McLaren of Rio Haryanto, who then has the Mercedes of Daniel Kvyat behind him. The Mercedes have not really been anywhere this season, have really been struggling with that DAS system. But in the wet, maybe it could work, because you could use it to get the tyres, or at least the front tyres, up to temperature. And they're going to go for a move on the inside line of the McLaren into the old turn 1, keep it side by side through there, and Haryanto there with the racing line, managing to sweep back around the outside line, side by side through there in the west. Still absolute bravery from both the drivers. That could have ended in disaster. We've seen Hamilton dive it against K-Bag. I mean, these drivers are two very experienced drivers now. In Formula 1, Kvyat's been here since 2014, Haryanto since 2016, so they both know what they're doing, especially in the wet conditions as well. Now once again, Kvyat with the slipstream and the AMG engine better than the Renault, going to go for a dive at the inside line once again. on the Renault powered McLaren and keep it side by side still. Hamilton once again with the racing line around the outside line, able to get a better run there out of the corner, but Kvyat though once again still keeping it side by side. You're going to go around the outside line here, but then sends but Hamilton just breaks enough and manages to force out Kvyat, not wanting to force each other through the final corner. Of course, you've got one of the Williams there, one of the Williams cars. I'm guessing Latifi looking very interested behind the back of them as well. Now Latifi with that Honda power. You've got three completely different teams with three completely different engines all battling on the same piece of tarmac. Now looking aboard here now from the Williams car of Nicholas Latifi is all over the back here down the Kvyat, and the Williams is probably the fastest thing in a straight line out of these three. And maybe even the fastest car overall, because coming into this race, Red Bull, Williams and Mercedes are all joint on points on like 81 for 4th place in the constructors. So, and the McLaren car isn't too far down, so the midfield fight is so close. 4th, I think, as AlphaTauri has shown, all the cars in that midfield fight are so close and could all be in that fight for 4th place. I mean, we're only halfway through the season, we've got it all to do again in the second half here. Still got the rest of the European season before we end with the Asian side of things as we come towards the end of the season. Once again, Danny Kvyat, is he going to get a run on that McLaren car? I mean, he's getting in the session, but he's not getting close enough. Maybe that's tactical this, or maybe hold it back a little bit to get a run here through Max Beckett and then try and get a run down the back straight here. Through Max Beckett, of course, with the dirty as well. And the Mercedes not being as a front running car as it's been in previous years, it's going to be a little bit better in the dirty than it was before. Now then, down the straight, is he close enough this time to try and make a move on the Indonesian driver? The first Indonesian driver in Formula 1, the first Indonesian podium taker, but now he actually coming ahead from the Williams. Where's Latifi comes from with a massive speed? He's actually found some VTEC in that engine, and he's going to get all this line, try and make the move that Kvyat wouldn't do on Haryanto the lap before, keep side by side. But then Kvyat though, is still just able to keep through, but Latifi though could try and rain the sun, he can go for a dive inside over. Kvyat has the inside line covered. And Kvyat, it feels like he could already be a 2-time champion in Formula 1, but the look in the Red Bull days just didn't quite go his way back in 2016. And in 2018, now he's still got Latifi all the way back in Latifi. He really has, in his debut season, he really has just been a human highlight reel, along with Shumi in some races as well. The Williams car, it really is a bit of a surprise package. I mean, it's not as dominant as it's been in previous years back when you had BMW power, but the team they've had to build a car running a whole new engine which they've never even used before because they haven't used the Honda engines since they came back in 2015. So the team, they've built what is currently the 4th best car on the grid, and he's showing it right here. That car really is a surprise package. If they get into the sweet spot, then that car really is a force to be reckoned with. As it stands out, everything's a little bit spaced out now. He's got the other Mercedes there, George Russell getting involved by now onto lap 24. Lap 24 of the race. The team have not pitied me. I'm still going green through sector 1. I'm still finding pace on tyres that have done basically the entire race, and tyres that are going to do the entire race, because my hand is forced now. I have to stay out. And I'm only 6/10 down on the best lap as well, and I've currently got the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. So these tyres, they've somehow, although things are really starting to dry out now, so although my tyres are starting to get bald, the bolder they get, that could actually be whack out for me, because if these tyres basically become slicks, then I could have a real pace advantage. I've got 18 seconds in hand over Lewis Hamilton behind. I can go as slow as I like, as slow as I need to. I've got 2 laps. I can go 9 seconds slower a lap and still win. Look at that, 73% worn. The tyres, they're starting to feel it now. I'm only half a second down there through sector 1. I mean, it looks like I'm going so slowly. I mean, it feels like I'm going so slowly, but the time isn't showing it. You know, I mean, it looks like you go slower and you're going faster. I don't know how I'm keeping up with only half a second down through sector 1. Although Hamilton, he's gaining a lot of me now. I think he took what, 2 seconds out of me there through 1 sector, but that's perfectly fine. He can take 2 seconds out of me. He can take another 2 seconds out of this, another 2 seconds in the final sector. I don't need to push. I just need to get this car round without getting a puncture. Of course, the more the track drives out, of course, unless it goes for slicks right now, I don't even think it would be worth stopping now anyway. Of course, we're still going to get the rest, so we're at 1.3 seconds down. I managed that 75% over. Because once the tyres get to around 80% worn per tyre, that's when puncture territory really starts. Of course, running over these curves as well on tyres which are basically bald, and when the racing line goes over a lot of curves as well, that's when the panic station starts to come in a little bit. Now we've only got 1 more lap of this race left to go. 1 lap to go 17 seconds slower than I ever have before. That's all I need to do now. As we start now the final lap of the race. 1 final circuit here on the Silverstone of the Silverstone circuit, one tall round. We still got to keep it on all the right parts of the track as slow as possible, and just keep away from all of the curves, because curbs are killer when you've got tyres there. This one, I mean, we haven't got any of the sawtooth curves around the circuit, at least not that I've noticed. But still, once you get a little bit warning, still going so just dipping the tyres on there. I mean, the outside tyres there, the right side tyres are the ones that are the least worn, so dipping them a little bit onto the curb is going to be okay. Because everywhere else, you see, you're completely missing the apex there, but still take a tight line and go over the curbing a little bit though, because the racing line, you are forced to go. Because now as it's drying out, you don't want to go offline, because that's where the wet patches will still be, and when my tyres are as finished as they are, they're not going to be any use around there. Getting up now to 78% one of the tyres are really pushing it now towards the limit, towards puncture territory. Now we're going to cut it. This is going to be a healthy tyre. Now we run off the track, all four tyres. We've got absolutely no grip left. The tyres have got absolutely nothing left to give. 79% they're going to get to the puncture territory. 80% ones. They come now through Max and Beckett's. 79% one. They're going to cross over to the 80%. Not quite, not yet. As Hamilton's retaking the fastest lap of the race, so I really don't care about that. I could go in front of the win. I'm only a second half down right now into 8th. Now we're into puncture territory. And we've only got one section of this race left to go. The Hamilton's still going to be relentlessly chasing us down. Unless we get like all 4 tyres puncture right now. I don't see any way that we're going to end up losing this now. This come now into the final set race. As DRS now gets enabled, so this will be the time to pit, as I just missed the pit entry anyway, so I would have made it into the pits this lap anyway. Although DRS, they're going to possibly change something a little bit further down the order, but now coming around the final corner now, onto the line. We're now going to win the British Grand Prix on a legal, no-stop strategy. I don't know what the Alfa Romeo team have been on in this previous races to get these amazing strategy calls. They just keep rolling the dice, and it keeps coming up with the winning strategy. Fred Vasseur, I don't think he definitely didn't sign up for this at the start of the season. 3 wins in a row now for ourselves as well. We're really getting ourselves now into the championship fight. I mean, we haven't got the outright car pace. We've definitely got the superior strategy and superior tyre wear as well, which really helps this race. If we were in the Toyota, there's no way we could have made it to the end of the race on that set of tyres. We've got Hulkenberg there. P5, good recovery there from the German. You haven't seen a whole lot of him, but he's had a pretty good race there, getting himself up into 5th. Now then, out on the podium, ourselves there on the top step, surrounded then by both of the Toyotas. That's been the story of the season. We just can't get away with it. Those Toyotas are absolutely everywhere, dominating once again. So I think they're going to increase the lead in the constructors, but we're bringing it down a little bit down the championship. Now then, we get to spray the champagne. I think is that also our first home win as well. I think it is. We finally won a race like this. This race has been a little bit of a bug circuit for us in the past, but not today. A zero-stop strategy from Alfa Romeo finally gets us the W at home. Taking a look at the end results, and we get the win after making no stops in the race. 12 seconds clear. Hamilton took 5 seconds out of me on the final lap, but it didn't matter. I had the gap, and Matsushita ran off the podium in 3rd. Then it's Renault 4-5 with Jean-Luc Valle in 4th, and as we saw, Hulkenberg P5. K-Mag unfortunately dropped down into P6, but still a good result there from the Danish driver, and even more so for Pierre Gasly holding on to P7 in the AlphaTauri car, ahead of the lead Red Bull of Alex Albon. Then you have Mick Schumacher 9th place in the Williams. Sergio Sotocamera, P10, so a double point score for AlphaTauri. It's definitely what they need in the championship. Daniel Kvyat in 11th, and Latifi rounding off the points in the 2nd Williams to get a double points for Williams at home in 12th. Now moving on to the drivers' point standings, and Hamilton of course still leads the way, but now we finally break the Toyota stronghold at the top. We get ourselves up now into 2nd place, although we still are 39 points off the lead. But if you keep getting wins, if you keep knocking 4 or 5 points a race off Hamilton, then by the end of the season we can still definitely get there. Still got another 10 races yet to go. We got Matsushita P3, 45 points off, so he's still an outside shot for the championship. Hulkenberg in 4th, still maybe there. I think that is it, because I don't really see Verne, K-Mag or Kvyat getting themselves anywhere close to the fight. Verstappen, after a dud race, is still 8th in the standings on 51 points. He's now though only 4 points clear of Mick Schumacher in the Williams, and he has his teammate Latifi in 10th in the other Williams. Vettel is the lead Ferrari in 11th with 37 points, 2 points clear of the 2nd Red Bull of Alex Albon. Gets himself up now into P12 on 35 points. And now moving on to the constructor standings, and Toyota still lead the way, over 100 points clear now of Renault on 101, but now Renault are now only 5 points clear of Alfa Romeo. With these 3 wins, and with the improved package and the improved pace as well, we are putting up a fight now to try and take second place from the black and yellow cars. And despite a poor race with Verstappen, it's still Red Bull that remain in 4th place, still with the better result from earlier in the season, with Williams now getting up into 5th place, but still on 86 points. So the fight, once again, the fight for 4 still holding up even further. They got Mercedes there with a bit of a poor race here, a bit of a poor showing, drop down 96, but they're still right in that fight though. Ferrari, I still won't count out them yet either. No, actually I won't count out anyone yet, that's what we've seen AlphaTauri do today. We got McLaren there in 8th on 43, 1 point clear of Aston Martin. And AlphaTauri is still at the bottom, but with a good haul of points, they bring themselves right back into play now to get out of 10th place. Remember to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Also, vote for your driver of the day with the polling that'll be in the video description, along with the wiki for the series, which is updated after this race. It's got for the season, maybe even sneak peek what's coming in the future. Also, if you want to take a look back at previous seasons, all the teams, all the drivers from when the season began back in 2014 will be down there as well on the wiki. And I did every race. It takes a long time to make. I made every page myself, so I'd appreciate it if you could go and give that a read. Yeah, remember to leave a like if you enjoyed, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads, and if you give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram, that'd be much appreciated. That'll be linked down in the description below as well. So thanks for watching, I'll see you all next time.